So it's the video we've all been waiting for. The new Hercules 15 amp heavy duty miter saw. I'm going to compare the new Hercules miter saw, professional grade apparently. This was $379 at Harbor Freight with a $20 off coupon. And I'm going to compare it to the I believe this is $119. This is the same size, 12-inch, and I've had this for about 2 years and don't like it. That's why I bought the Hercules. This one is just highly inaccurate. I'll give you a short overview on this. This thing, cutting 90 degrees, it works great. But when you get 45, it's not so great. This old saw has a locking mechanism here, but without this handle tightened down, you have a degree or two of slop. But when you do tighten this knob down, watch how far that skews off. See that? That's not a 45 now, that's like a 44 or maybe even a 43.7. When you loosen this up, it goes back to 45. And this thing, this little rod in there is just goes all over the place. Look at that, how that, and this is supposed to be your tightening mechanism, and that's pulling this way off kilter. When you tighten down, you know, when this is tightened down, there's no slop, but yet it's not 45 degrees, and you can't really adjust. You can adjust this, which is, you know, kind of useless, but this is one of my pet peeves with this thing, is it's not accurate. Another feature I do not like about this old style Harbor Freight miter saw is this laser right here. I've adjusted this and I've never been able to get it spot on. So I've never used this laser to align my cuts. And second thing is, you can see there's sawdust on here. It just gets blown full of sawdust. Third thing I don't like about this is it's right in the line of a kickback. I had a piece of wood kick back, and you can see on the bottom here is a big chunk of plastic taken out of this. But it still works. I'm surprised that the laser still works, but I don't use it to align anything. Another feature that I really hate about this is if you're trying to cut a bevel like that, this has no locking mechanism. I mean, it's either 0 or you're at 45. So there's nothing to lock it in place other than you screwing down this yellow handle back there. This one has locking mechanisms at various like 22 and 39 degrees and 45 degrees, etc. But this, you're at the mercy of that locking mechanism back there. So the miter lock knob is shorter. It's much beefier than this long rod going in there that flops around like crazy. So here is a 45 degree frame that I cut on this just a few days ago. This is glued up. It has a biscuit in there and wood glue, and that's how off this thing is. So, you know, if you cut this side off 1 degree and this side off 1 degree, well, now that's a 2 degree hole right there in your frame. This inaccuracy in the old miter saw from Harbor Freight is why I went out and spent $400 on a new professional grade Hercules miter saw to see if it lives up to the Harbor Freight hype. So let's see the slop here on this Hercules. This thing is solid. I mean, that thing is not moving at all. This is completely solid, and that's with this miter lock knob completely loose. So you tighten down this miter lock knob, and you can't move it for anything. You can push the button and solid. I'm impressed with that. This frame looks way more beefier. Just everything here, look at these compared to this. More surface area. You've got detents to lock in your various degrees. So now I'm back here at the back end of this, and it has two mechanisms you have to release in order to change the angle. You got this knob back here like on the old one, but even then you can't move it. It's pretty solid, it doesn't jiggle. And then you can move it and it'll lock in place. And then it locks. You push it, you move it a little bit, flip it forward, and then it'll lock in place. Then you tighten this handle down back here. You need to adjust it more. That's at 22.5. That's at 33.9. That's at 45. And about 48 degrees is as far as this will go. Comes with a wood clamp, which is adjustable. You can take this off and put it on the other side here. And just like this one has one, but this has a kind of a thumb screw, while this just kind of twists in there and locks with a kind of a key in a hole thing. You put it in there and twist it, and then it stays in there. Wow, and it even comes with a brake. The old one didn't. This is out of the box with a speed square, and it's pretty darn square. There's no deviation at all. That's spot on. So the only concern I really have is this Harbor Freight blade, because on the old one, that blade lasted maybe 3 months of cutting. So I went out and bought an Irwin blade from Lowe's, and I've used that blade for like 1.5 years or longer. So let's test the 45 degree, and out of the box, that's spot on too. I will make a 8x10 picture frame and measure things up here. I use kind of a block to measure where 10 inches is, because this is a block cut exactly to 10 inches, and I just put it on the end in the rabbet cutout right here and measure 10 inches back, make a mark, and then use my speed square and transfer that mark over here to the front. And then go off that line right there and make a 45 degree line right there. So this is the 10-inch blank that I use. So this is like a, say your painting is 8x10, this is the 10-inch side. So it'll fit into the rabbet recess right here. And then I have another 8-inch that I'll cut others on. But I love this LED blade alignment system. It's really accurate on this Hercules Mitre Saw. So now I have two perfectly cut 10 inches, and then I have two perfectly cut 8-inch sides. So now I'll make some cuts in here for the biscuit and glue it together. Just marking the center of the board so I can line my biscuit cutter up. So just line this mark up on your biscuit cutter with the line you made on the piece of wood. Hold it with your thumb like this. Keep your fingers out of the way. Makes a nice clean biscuit plunge cut in that. Rinse and repeat on the other side and the other pieces. Got this all laid out. I've got some number 0 biscuits, some Tight Bond Original. I'll glue this up and clamp it. And we'll see how tight these joints are. So I'll see whether spending $379 to $399 was worth it. So I'm just lining up these marks that I made to cut the biscuit cuts to ensure that everything is lined up. Now I'll clamp it down and do the measurements on the sides. I really do not like these Harbor Freight strap clamps because they tend to slip off the edges if you don't catch it in time. So you get it popping off. There we go. Using a damp cloth. Just going over the joints to get any of the wood glue out that oozed out. Easier to do it now than to sand the wood glue off when it's rock hard. Here's the back side of the frame. See, these joints are super tight. I don't know if this will focus or not. That's one. There's another. There's another. There's another. Here's the front side, really tight there. Tight on that side, tight on that side, and fairly tight on that side. That'll be filled in with finish. But I am really impressed with how that Hercules Mitre Saw cuts these and how accurate it is. Before, I was using this little jig that I made up for my table saw, and it fits in the table saw groove. So say you wanted to cut a 45 degree, you would rabbet the inside of the depth that you wanted, then you'd put it on here and cut your 45, and then with this you could move this to various lengths. Say you wanted a 10-inch, you'd move this to 10 inches and lock this down and then run it through your table saw. But works great for small pieces, but when you get into pieces bigger than 24 inches or so, it's kind of a pain in the butt to hold these and push this and operate the table saw. But that is another reason why I bought the Hercules Mitre Saw. To ensure your frame is square, you can measure it from edge to edge. Kind of hard to do it with the clamps on, but better do it now than when your glue sets, so you're kind of screwed at that. So this is about 19 1/8 on that side, and about 19 1/8 on this side. So you know that your frame is square. I'm very impressed with this Hercules Mitre Saw. It works as advertised. So my opinion or impression of this miter saw, my take on this is it's good. It's solid. I mean, this thing doesn't move. It's highly accurate out of the box. I love this LED shadow alignment system that they have, way better than the laser system. Is it worth the money? I would say it is. But the closest thing to this miter saw would be a DeWalt like 7790 or DWS 780. Not sure the price on that, but they're probably priced about the same. But as for this one, I'll probably be selling it on Craigslist for 20 bucks. It's had a good life. I've used it for about 2 years, and you know, it's just not accurate enough for what I need it to do. But I am highly impressed with this saw. It does what it says, and I'd say it's a professional grade. It did what I needed it to do and give me perfect 45-degree angles.